not just have people hear about the gospel, but to get water. It's amazing how many people that I've read stories about. How true these are, I don't know. How many people think that water comes out of the faucet? They don't think about where it really comes from. So please remember that as we have the opportunity to give for that. We have a goal set back there of $1,000. Guys, I believe we can do way better than that. So we can help missionaries around the world to give that is there. As you notice behind me, it says Stinky Frogs. One of the reasons that we're getting ready to celebrate Christmas is because of sin. Did you know that? It's amazing to think that God said, I love you enough and so much that despite of your sin, I'm still going to love you. No matter what happens. Those of you who are parents, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're going to love your kids no matter what, right? No matter what. God says, I love you no matter what. But I want us to talk here this morning and share with you this morning about a story. A story found in the Old Testament in Exodus. I want to share with you a story of Moses. As Moses was trying his very best to get the people of Egypt, of Israel, not the people of Egypt, but God's own people, to get them out of Egypt. And how many of you can say that you do everything you're supposed to? And we're perfect listeners, and we're perfect everything, right? I mean, absolutely, right? Absolutely. Well, one of the things that I want to talk about is sin here this morning, because that's what why Christmas came. That is also why Easter was there, because without the raising of Jesus Christ, without the shedding of his blood, we couldn't have that forgiveness that we desperately need in our lives. And I'd like for you to think about sin this morning. I want you to think about our culture. I want you to think about things that are going on around us that we today have decided are no big deal. How many of you know that in Marion County now that you can smoke up to a certain amount of marijuana and they're not going to prosecute you? How absurd is that? Okay? It's amazing what we have done culturally to justify sin, to justify it, say it's okay, and that we should just continue on and not think anything about it. But I want you to know something. It will destroy our culture. Mark my words, December 8, 2019, it will destroy our culture. And we need to get a grasp of it quickly. And we need to understand what's taking place. And I want to share with you about sin, because you see, without the forgiveness of those sins, there is no eternal life. Everybody here this morning, God says, I want to give you eternal life. I have given it to you if you accept it. In just a few weeks, Christmas is coming up. And I can put 15 presents under your tree. And if you don't open up any one of them, you never receive it. It might sit there, it'll look pretty, but you'll never make the effort to accept it and bring it and open it up and have it in your life. Jesus Christ is a gift. And you and I have an option. We do. We have an option. We can accept that gift, open it up, grab it, put it in, let it come into our life, or we can leave it sit exactly where it is. And I want you to know that as we just saw that video, guys, we don't have any persecution in America when it comes to Christianity. Zero. Don't be fooled by what they're saying. We have none. We can be at church this morning like we need to be. Now, how many of you are going to go home today and get beat, ladies, by your husband because you went to church? Okay? I just thought that's what happened. You see, we live in a culture by which we need to take serious what our relationship is with God. And I want us to look at this whole idea of stinky frogs. The whole idea of let's not wash over any longer in our culture, in our churches, and in our lives what sin is. Because you see, that's why Jesus Christ came. Brother Don said, he's not a little baby anymore, is he? He grew up, and for about 3.5 years, he ministered on this earth and was put on a bogus trial before these men who thought they knew everything. But it was all part of God's plan to hang on a cross for you and for me. But he came. He came because we need this forgiveness. in our lives. So let's take a look at Exodus, if you would, chapter 8. I want you to hear this, and I want you to see what takes place here. Moses was not even close to being perfect. Moses had a few problems in his life. He had anger problems. He had confidence problems. He had problems in his life. So if you are here this morning and you have a confidence problem, or if you have any problem in your life whatsoever, you are not alone. And here we see Moses, who had a problem, and who had problems in his life. Let's listen to what happens. Okay, this is the second plague that God brings upon the people of Egypt. It says this, and the Lord spoke to Moses, go to Pharaoh and say to him, thus says the Lord, let my people go, that they may serve me. Sounds pretty simple, doesn't it? I don't think that sounds very difficult. Except for, let's take a background check for just a moment and understand that Moses and Pharaoh know each other. That Moses did not want to have to go up there again and talk to this Pharaoh. We know that the first time that he went, the plague that was there of blood, that they were able to copy it. And we'll find later on that they could do this one as well. But the reality is that he is there. The Israelites had become slaves. And he was there to say, you know what, Pharaoh, let your slaves go because God said so. And I want you to imagine for a moment, somebody saying to you, you must give up everything in your life because I said so. There's no reason for it. There's no reason for it, just I said so. What are you going to say? Not a chance. Right? Not going to happen. Because why? Well, I've got to live. I've got to pay my bills. Got to have a place to sleep. I've got to do all these things. We're saying, no way, I'm not giving those things up. Well, Pharaoh depended very heavily upon these slaves, these Israelites who had come to Egypt. He depended upon them heavily to get the work done. Depended upon them heavily to do the buildings and to make sure everything was taken care of. And a simple request here. All God is saying, hey, I'm not, at this point, he's saying, I'm not even saying to you, Pharaoh, that they're going to stay away forever. I just want them to come so they can worship me. That's all he wants you to do. That's all he's saying to Pharaoh. That's all he's saying to us, so that they may go and worship me. Again, seems pretty simple. Okay, it really does. On the surface, when you read it, it seems pretty simple to me. It seems like a pretty good, fair request as well. Well, let's look at the second one. Second verse. It says, but if you refuse to let them go, behold, I will smite all your territory with frogs. All right. How many of you freak out when you see a frog? I got some frogs in my house. If anybody wants to see them, I've got a big old toad. I've got some tree frogs and stuff. And they're over there. And I want you to know something about frogs. Frogs can be, especially toads. I see that face, toad especially, right? The big old wart-looking things that are over them. Just want you to know that toads do not give warts. Okay, that is just a myth. All right? But the fact is, frogs can be very interesting, very productive. They've got a purpose that God is there. But I want to point something out here, not so much the frogs, but I want you to see what happens here. He says to Pharaoh, if you don't do this, this is what will happen to you and to Egypt. That's what he just said. He says, but if you refuse, but Pharaoh, if you do not do as I said to do, if you don't do it and let them go, I will make sure that frogs destroy your territory. Okay? Now, how many of you have been threatened before? Okay? My dad used to say, I'm not threatening you, I'm just making a promise. Right? Moses is not threatening, and he's not just promising, he's doing both. He's saying, I'm warning you, this is what will happen. How many times do you remember growing up, your mom and dad saying, if you don't do this, this is what's going to happen? You're like, whatever. Okay? My mom was 5'3". And my mom used to chase me around. I got in trouble. It was almost laughable. It didn't hurt. But the quickest way to get her to stop was to act like it did. Okay? So I would start crying, and guess what? Lo and behold, she would stop disciplining me. It worked every single time. Okay, maybe it's because I didn't want to be a spender. I just don't want to be annoyed by it. The rules never fail. But the reality is here is that I knew that if I didn't do what I was told, there was consequences. Whether it was something that was painful or not, it depended on who was delivering out the punishment. I never did that to my dad. How about you guys? Never. But I want you to know that here we're seeing Moses speak to the leader of the Egyptian people. It says, if you do not do this, this is what's going to happen. Now, let's back up for just a moment. If you remember some of the plagues here, the first plague that took place was that Moses turned the water into blood, and that Pharaoh's magicians were able to do the exact same thing. So I'm sure deep down, Pharaoh thought, so what? Go ahead. You tried to turn the water into blood, and you did it, and we did the same thing. I bet we can do the same. So he says, this is what's going to happen. Guys, listen, we need to understand something. Let us never, ever disobey God because there are consequences. Okay? There are consequences. I'm going to put, please write that in your Bible. Don't put might be. There are consequences for not trusting and following God. There are. All right? So here we see him doing this. And Pharaoh, again, he's like, whatever, I'm not going to do this. And let's see what happens in verse 3. It says, so the river shall bring forth frogs abundantly, which will go up and come into your house, into your bedroom, on your bed, into the houses of your servants, on your people, into your ovens, and into your kneading bowls. Now remember, he said they're going to come up, smite all your territory. I think verse 3 covered that. He said it's going to go everywhere. How many of you ever woke up before and there was an animal in your room that wasn't supposed to be there? Frog, lizard, spider, neighbor's dog, cat, right? We had a cat one time. His name was Oliver. Jennifer was gone, and I was sleeping. I was just kind of in and out, and I was waking up in the middle of the night, and right here on my chest was this cat going, just staring right at me. You're talking about making you panic. Right there is a good opportunity, okay? Now, imagine this, ladies, you go and you're going to start making dough, and there's frogs everywhere. I want you to imagine that you're going to go make the bed, and there's frogs hopping everywhere. Listen, God doesn't mess around, does he? So I want us to see something when I say, oh, that this story didn't happen. Oh, yes, it did. You know why I know it happened? Because the Bible tells me that it happened. I believe the Bible. And the Bible has always been proven to be right, not just by God, but by history and people living it over and over again. I know this happened. So here we see this. He says they've gone in, they're going to go into your house, your bedroom, your bed, that means your drawers. You better check your underwear before you put it on, okay? It's going to have frogs in it, get it cleaned out. But here's going to go in your bed, it's going to go in your house of your servants, so nobody is exempt to this. What this means is not one of us here this morning is exempt from sin. We are not exempt from the potential of the consequences for not following what God wants us to do. And this is important because, see, Christmas is coming. Guys, listen, Christmas is coming because of sin. Don't make any mistake about it. Christmas is coming because we need forgiveness. Christmas is coming. We're celebrating Christmas because the world needs to be forgiven. Christmas is coming because God says, I love you. Christmas is coming. It is coming because we need a Savior, because we need that gift that is given to us. So we can see this here, that they are there. I want you to imagine that you open up a Cheerios box and there's a bunch of frogs in there. Okay, they're going to get into everything. All right? Or whatever your favorite cereal might be. They're going to get into everything. I can see a little boy going, oh, that'd be cool. Frogs everywhere. Okay? I want you to see this, guys. Let us never play around with sin. God never did, and nor should we. As I watch culture today, how sad is it that we've become what we have become? And some might say, well, there's nothing we can do about it. Yes, there is. I believe God doesn't change. And if God doesn't change, it means anything is possible. So let us never forget that. So there are going to be ladies that next time you go down and get your kneading bowls, next time you go to get your food, there's going to be frogs in it. Now remember, this is a warning at this point. It's a warning. He's making it crystal clear. He's making his warning. He said, hey, this is what's going to happen. Verse 4. It says, okay, here we go. This one gets even a little bit more personal. Verse 4 says this. And the frogs shall come up on you, on your people, and all of your servants. Oh, wow. Every time I go to Petco, they've got this little lizard. It's called a bearded dragon. You guys know what I'm talking about? bearded dragon, okay? Well, they try, I think it'd be kind of interesting. I think little lizards are cool. Not the great big ones, but those little guys. And I can remember them saying, you know, a bearded dragon is a cool pet. He'll sit on your shoulder and sit there and look at you with his little beady eyes. All right? Now, I want you to imagine you got frogs on you now. Okay? I kind of vision this as frogs, as people trying to get them off, and then the frogs just keep coming on. Kind of like when you go out to the marsh and you got mosquitoes all over you and you can't get them off. There's a plague in here of flies. We're not going to talk about that this morning. There's a fly. Jennifer and I and the kids were in Salt Lake City many, many years ago, and we went to the Great Salt Lake. Have you guys ever been there? Okay, you probably went once, and probably don't ever want to go back, right? Okay. But I can remember this. Some people say, these things don't happen this way. Listen, I promise you, if you go to Salt Lake City, you will see hordes of flies like you've never seen in your life. How do I know that? Because I experienced it. In fact, they're so gross, you want to jump in even grosser water. Okay? You see, God says these things, they're going to happen. They're going to take place. Because it's all avoidable. Do you realize that? It's all avoidable. Simply by doing what? Obey God. This is what Pharaoh didn't grasp. Well, first of all, Pharaoh doesn't care about God, right? Because Pharaoh believes he is a God. And so he's not really that concerned about that. But I promise you this, guys, just as he did to Pharaoh, God can and will do to us. He'll eventually get our attention through things that we really don't want him to do. Firstborn ended up dying in Egypt. All the finances and money that were taken away because crop and livestock were destroyed. You don't think God can get through us any way he wants to? Yes, he can. But let's not let him go that far. Because God says, let's obey. Obey these things. Now, as we see this, so he says they're going to be everywhere. They're going to be everywhere. And it's kind of weird to me because I think of somebody who says, I have lice. Okay? Every time we go to camp, they have to check the kids for lice. You guys know what I'm talking about? How many right now are going, oof, lice. Okay? It's weird. If you think of those things, maybe you start scratching your head because you're thinking of that. Well, I want you to think of this. Problems everywhere, all because of sin, disobedience to God here in this particular case, that has taken place. And the Egyptians don't care. Listen, we need to start caring as a nation, as a church, and as God's people. Listen to verse 5. It says this. Then the Lord spoke to Moses. Underline that. Then the Lord spoke to Moses. Say to Aaron, stretch out your hand with your rod over the streams, over the rivers, and over the ponds, and cause frogs to go up on the land of Egypt. That's what God did. Now, obviously, God chooses to use Aaron. Right? God chooses to use man. God chooses to use us to further his kingdom, to bring people to him, to make illustrated points here in this particular case. So all Aaron has to do, if you notice, he just says, stretch out your hand with the rod. Stretch it out. This is the same rod that turned into a snake and ate the snakes of the Egyptians. He says, here, just stretch it out. Stretch it out. This is why. This is going to demonstrate the power of God. Christians, we spend way too much time in our lives living like God is powerless. Okay? Powerless. God is not powerless. God is extremely powerful. And we need to remember that as his people. We need to remember what he can do through his church. If we live powerless, God's power will not come through us. And God says, he is powerful. And let us grab a hold of this. He is very powerful for you. And for me, he is powerful. And he can use anybody to demonstrate that power. And here we see Aaron, who was not the first choice, by the way, of God to lead this project. It was Moses. And Moses came up with excuses. You ever come up with any excuses in your life? Usually our excuses are why we can't do something. And sometimes there are excuses of why we can. But generally they're that we cannot. And so Moses tried to come up with the excuse of why he could not do this, why he could not stand before Pharaoh. And we know that God told him, that's not a problem. We'll let your brother Aaron speak. That's exactly what's happening here. We see him saying this, hey, let's demonstrate the power of God. Let's see this, verse 6. It says, so the power of God, he was told him to take his rod over the streams, over the rivers, and over the ponds, and cause the frogs to come out. So here in verse 6, so he stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt, and the frogs came up and covered the land of Egypt. Again, I'm sure some of the little kids thought, this is cool. You know? Even if you like to eat frog legs, I promise you got sick of them after a while, okay? There's a lot of them coming out. They're coming on out. And all of a sudden, you've got chaos. Listen, I have girls in my house, okay? And I generally understand when I hear certain squeals in my house, it's because there's an animal that's not supposed to be there. All right? And spiders are probably the biggest one. But in this case, can you imagine some of the chaos going as frogs just come out of nowhere? They come out of nowhere. And is this fair? Sure it is. God is fair. God can choose to do whatever he wants to, however he wants to do it, whether we agree with it or not. God is just going to do it. So why? Because of the disobedience of Pharaoh. I find it very interesting is that the children of Israel are pretty stiff-necked people, the Bible tells us. They're pretty stubborn. They're very stubborn. But yet God said, what? I still love you. I've heard your cries out. I've heard it. Don't ever give up. You see, God hears what you're asking him. Okay? So don't ever give up on what he can hear. He can hear everything. But remember this very important thing. That if you or I are cherishing this world and what this world has to offer more than God, he won't hear us. Look it up, Psalm 66:18. He won't hear us. So let the world hear awakenings. Hear these frogs. They're out there. At first, maybe you think, oh, it's kind of interesting. Like I said, I remember at the Sea of the Salt Lake, I can remember walking up. I thought, wow, look at that. What is that? It was a fog of flies. Okay, right before you got into the lake, there was just a fog of flies. I remember this very clearly to this day. And at first from a distance, you're like, wow, that's neat until you got by it. All right, this is the same thing. Here's all these frogs. From a distance, oh, that was pretty neat. The next thing you know, they're not so neat. See, that's how sin works too. From a distance, it seems neat. From a distance, it seems like it's something that we should want to do because it's enticing and it's supposed to be that way. But then it hits you smack in the face when it's no longer fun. You see, because those frogs are there. And here they are. Listen to what happens here. So they're there. They are taking place. Verse 7 says this. And the magicians did so with their enchantments and brought up frogs on the land of Egypt. Some might say, well, that's not a big deal. They both did it. Yes, but you see, Satan also has powers to do things. The difference between the two here is that God spoke and God said to Pharaoh, this is what I'm going to do. See, there's no way the Egyptians are going to bring forth frogs to hurt Egypt. Did God want to do it? No, I believe God would have much rather have seen the Pharaoh and the people of Egypt come to know him. But they didn't. They chose not to. But what this is reminding us of this, it was reminding us, hey, you know what? Pharaoh sitting there going, if my guys can do it, this can't be anything special. Listen, if my guys can do it, then your God's really not anything big, is he? Does arrogance ever get people in trouble? Absolutely it does. You think Pharaoh's a little bit arrogant? Sure he is. He's a god. Remember, that's what he believed. That's what he thought he was. That's what he wanted people to believe. And this is what he taught. So here he is. But who is the King of Kings and Lord of Lords? See, God is going to come in the form of a baby named Jesus before too much longer. And we're going to see that why? Because of sin. Guys, don't let your sin and my sin, the sins of our church, don't let them break our relationship with God. This is what's happened right here. This Pharaoh is right there. First, I can do whatever I want to. There's no way. Okay, verse 8. It says, then Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron and said, entreat the Lord that he may take away the frogs from me and from my people, and I will let the people go, that they may sacrifice to the Lord. Wait a minute. Now, if I'm a God, because I say that I'm a God, and I know that I'm a God, because my father before me was a God, my grandfather was a God, and now I am, what in the world is he doing? Okay? What is he doing here? He just saw his magicians do the exact same thing, didn't he? He just saw them call up frogs out of water. So why in the world the change of heart? Have you guys ever seen something that's fake versus something that's genuine? You see, we are all going to be gravitating to what is genuine over falseness, aren't we? See, Pharaoh is starting to get it figured out a little bit here. He's starting to get it figured out here that, you know what? That there's probably a good idea here that your God is more powerful than these magicians that I have. He's figuring out. Listen, Pharaoh was not ignorant of the truths. He was blinded to them out of choice. He didn't want to know the truth. Remember, because he really felt like he was a God. He really believed he could be this. And here was Moses saying, no, hold on. And so here we see this, and that sin that continues on. Verse 9, it says this. I want to go back up to reading there in verse 8. I want you to know something. He says, entreat the Lord that he may take away the frogs from me and from my people, and I will let the people go. Notice this. He says, Moses, ask him to do so. Ask him to do this for me. Verse 9. Then he says this. And Moses said to Pharaoh, accept the honor of saying, when I shall intercede for you, for your servants and for your people, to destroy the frogs from you and your houses, that they may remain in the river only. Now I want you to notice here that in verse that Pharaoh he's dictating some things. So we'll get to that in just a moment. But he's reminded here. Listen. Moses is saying to him, you know what? I can do this. I can intercede for you. Listen, we can intercede for one another. I do not have the power as God did to remove, as God does. But we can ask God on someone else's behalf, on the behalf of the church, to intercede in their life. And one of the things I want us to remember about that is that sometimes over the years I've heard people say, well, that's a selfish prayer. No, there's not. You can pray for yourself. It's okay. You're allowed to do that. You can pray for your loved ones. You can pray for your friends. It's okay. You can be specific with those things, with those prayers. It is perfectly acceptable. And here we see that Pharaoh, he decided, you know what? I want these frogs gone. So let's see what happens. How many of you ever put off today so you can do it tomorrow? There's a word that we call that procrastination. You guys ever procrastinate before? Okay. Well, one of the things that I find interesting here is Pharaoh's a procrastinator. All right? I want you to notice something here. Pharaoh in verse 10 says this. He says this. So he said, tomorrow, and he said, let it be according to your word, that you may know that there is no one like the Lord our God. Do this tomorrow. Guys, I don't know about you, but I've been like, let's get this done right here, right now. Let's get these frogs out of here. They're gross. They're disgusting. My wife's freaking out. My kids are freaking out. I don't have any food on the table because they've ruined the kneading troughs. They've been in the kneadings and all. I want them on. But instead, what do you say? Do it tomorrow. Don't ever put off for tomorrow what we can do today. Especially, don't ever put off for tomorrow what we can do for God today. And there's a lot of things in all of our lives that we can do for God right here, right now, that we convince ourselves we can do it tomorrow or the next week or the next week. And don't put off. Trust God. Don't put him off. Let him be the person, the God that he wants to be in your life. We need to remember that. And I don't know about you, but man, if you can get rid of that whole experience as quickly as possible, wouldn't you? Here are these frogs. I guarantee you this is not a pretty picture. It's not pretty at all. Let us go on to verse 11. He says this. He says, and the frogs shall depart from you, from your houses, from your servants, and from your people. They shall remain in the river only. So Moses says to Pharaoh, okay, here's what's going to happen. They're going to leave the house. They're going to leave everything about you. They're just going to be in the river. I don't know about you, but that's where frogs belong, in the river, right? So that's where they're going back. Okay? They're going back. They're going to the river. This is exactly where He wants them to be, and this is exactly what is going to happen. So Pharaoh, again, that this is something that he wants to have take place, that they're gone, and that's exactly where they're going to be. Now, as you look through here, and we have to understand this, that do you think the frogs could have been gone immediately? Yes. They got there pretty quickly. In our lives, God can take care of things immediately. We don't have to wait and ask Him tomorrow or the next day. He can take care of it immediately in your life. So if you don't know Christ this morning as your Lord and Savior, don't wait until tomorrow. He can take care of that right now. Right here, right now. You might have frogs overrunning your life. Get rid of them. Get rid of them. This is exactly Moses. Get rid of them. Moses said, okay, this is what's going to happen. Verse 12. Then Moses and Aaron went from Pharaoh, and Moses cried out to the Lord concerning the frogs which he had brought against Pharaoh. And so all of a sudden he went out, and he said, Lord, get rid of these frogs. Please get rid of them. And I want us to see, how do these frogs relate? How can we apply these things to our lives? How can we understand about these frogs? And who do we need to get rid of them in our lives? Because you see, there isn't a person walking this earth who has never sinned in their life except for one, Jesus Christ did. And since that's the case, there's frogs that are going to get into our life. They're going to get into our churches. They're going to get into our denominations. They're going to get into our life. How do we get rid of them? And here's what I want us to understand something. First and foremost, we have to understand what sin is. Okay? We glorify it on TV. What do we do with it? We make a rainbow flag and say it's okay. We say, well, legislation said that hey, you know what, we can kill all the babies all we want to. We just say that's okay. But the fact is, God says that is not the case. So let's remember something, that the frogs are sin. And we need to remember that sin is what? It's disgusting. It shouldn't be something that we glory in. It should be something that we think. Sometimes it takes us a little bit longer to realize that it's sin, that it's disgusting. Sometimes it takes us longer to figure it out. Sometimes years. But we eventually figure it out. And something else we need to remember is that God hates it. God hates sin. God never has ever embraced sin. And the fourth thing that I want us to remember this as well, that with men, with you, with me, with others around us, it's sometimes hard to get that sin up right away. You ever been there? It's hard sometimes to want to just let it go. Especially if you've been living that way your whole entire life. Because you see, when we live a certain way our whole entire life, we become very much accustomed to what is taking place. And we don't think it's wrong. In fact, we think it's weird that somebody doesn't think like we do. We think it's strange that people don't have the same thoughts that we do and actions that we do. But God says, you know what? Get it gone. Let's spend just a few more times with this, and I want you to understand this. Pharaoh said something here. Pharaoh said, you know what, I'm willing to live in my sin for just a little bit longer. Remember, he said, don't do it right now. Do it tomorrow. I'm willing to stay right there. What if God would have said, you know, I'm not going to send Jesus at all. I want you just to stay just a little bit longer that way. You see, Christmas is coming, guys. It's not because of Santa. It's because we need the gift of salvation. We need the gift of Jesus. We need the gift because of sin. We need this gift that is there. And then literally Pharaoh's like, I'll get it tomorrow. Guys, don't get it tomorrow. If you know that there's things in your life, if you know that it's there, you know what? Get rid of it. Don't wait till tomorrow. I want you to first and foremost understand something. We are not guaranteed tomorrow. As much as we think we are, as much as we plan for tomorrow and plan for next year, we are not guaranteed any of it. And here he says, I want you to hold on to it just a little bit longer. He says, you know what, I just want to keep doing it. Now let's face it, sin's fun. That's why it works. It's enticing. That's why it's something that's attractive to our eyes. God entices every single one of us differently than He does, always differently. Men are always enticed differently than women, but not necessarily the exact same way. You see, God does those things to us. I mean, Satan does those things to us because he knows how to get us. But you see, God has said there's a condition. There's a parameter I've set. for your forgiveness. There's a gift I'm going to give you for your forgiveness. His name is Jesus. We sing Christmas songs this morning. And some of those songs, wow, Silent Night, Holy Night, all is calm. I want you to imagine now that Pharaoh has decided he's just going to wait another day. Verse 13 says, so the Lord did according to the word of Moses. Hey, you want to keep living in your sin, Pharaoh? Then have at it. If you want to keep living in your sin, if I want to keep living in my sin, God will let us do that. He doesn't want us. He doesn't want us to do it. But nonetheless, this is exactly what happens. But here's what goes on. He goes this, and he says this too, again in verse 14. It says, then they gathered the frog. He prayed, the frogs died. Wow, what a pretty picture that is. Because not all of them made it back to the river, okay? They died. You ever smell something dead? It's a smell you'll never forget. I was working in college one time, and my boss says, hey, I was working in a state park, and he says, listen, you need to go over there by the picnic area. Somebody keeps smelling something dead. So why do I have to go find something dead because you're the low man on the totem pole? All right? I've never seen a possum that big in my life. But you see, when sin gets into our life, it becomes stinky. It becomes stinky. Don't let it stay there. Let it get out. Get that lingering out. You know, when your house stinks, when you burn something, when you do something in there, you're not supposed to have to open up the doors, right? Open the windows. You do that why? To get rid of whatever it is that's causing the problem. So in our lives, what are we willing to say? You know what, God? I'm going to get this sin gone. God, I don't want to wait tomorrow. I don't want to wait tomorrow. I'm going to do it right here, right now. Because I want you to take a deep breath, because sin stinks. Because sin should be something that we think is acceptable and is okay. If that's the case, then we water down the gift that Jesus Christ has given us at Christmas. Because it's not okay. And I get tired of hearing these people out there saying it's okay to keep living a sinful life. Then to have the nerve to say that they're Christians. Have the nerve to say that they love God. What a bunch of phonies. But we're not allowed to judge anybody in our world today. Guys, people need to get over it. Because you know what? When we say we're something, we live the opposite. That's not judging. That's just pointing out the facts. And we need to remember that. God says, you know what? Get rid of it. Church, get rid of it. Because I promise you sin and I sin, our church sins. All right? Because we are one and the same. And we need to get rid of it. You have to get rid of it. Why? Because it should be something we don't take lightly. And in our lives, listen, God didn't take it lightly. God sent his son because he didn't take it lightly. When we sing those Christmas songs, when we have our play next week and the guitar the following week, guys, those are not just meant to entertain. They are to give the message of the gift of Jesus. That's why we have them. And far too many times we try to politicize Christmas. God never intended for it to be that way. God says it's about my son. The son whom I love, the son who I gave for you. Just as you're going to accept a couple of some gifts here in about 2.5 weeks. And whoever it is that might be there. I'm going to offer you a gift right now. I'm going to offer you that gift of Jesus. So you might say, you know, how do you know Jesus is my Lord and Savior? And great. Keep living that way. Or maybe you know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, but you know what? You like the frogs in your life. And some of them are starting to rock, but you're not. But there's still enough pleasantry about it that you're not quite worried about it. Let it go. You see, the gift that God gave us is one that we can have every day of the year. Not just at Christmas. But we need to remember that Jesus Christ came for us. Will you accept his gift? His gift that is never turned away from whoever will accept it and receive it in their life. Will you receive him this morning? Brother Don, would you come?